Welcome to Agile Principle, Raw and Uncut with Roy and Phil. How are you doing, Roy?
I'm doing well, Phil. How are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome, thank you. I'm doing really well. Just don't ask me three questions. You've asked one.
I am almost at my limit now, right?
You've got one left, but we're
It's
not
kind of
going
like
to
a
make it
genie in the
three.
bottle kind of thing, isn't it? It's to get you three
Exactly.
questions. It never turns out well.
Three
So let's
wishes.
your three wishes.
The last one is usually the worst of them all. But for
Exactly.
those who don't know what we're going on about, it's about the three questions asked during the daily scrum. And what is a daily scrum? Let's give some background for those who don't have a clue about the daily scrum.
Yeah, so the daily scrum is an extremely important ceremony in the Scrum framework and Kanban as well. Most of the agile processes will have some form of a daily scrum, daily stand-up. Same thing, just different terms. So the intent of the daily scrum is it's an opportunity for the team to synchronize. Really the way that I like to phrase it is that the daily scrum is a planning meeting. It's a way for us to plan together as a team how we're going to work together and solve problems together. And now, unfortunately, the daily scrum, there's so many bad examples of daily scrums out there. I've
Mhm.
seen so many bad ones. They tend to turn into status meetings. And
Mhm.
that's not in any way what we're trying to accomplish. There's no value in having it as a status meeting. And often that happens when you're bringing management in and, other stakeholders in. It tends
Yeah.
to turn into statusing, right? And we don't want that. And Phil, I know you know the value of statusing. We want to try to move away from that concept a little bit. Although the predictive world, we still like status. We
They
still do,
thrive
right?
on that. That is a major fixture for those folks.
It really is.
Mhm.
Nothing gets done without a status meeting.
Yeah.
So that's really the intent. Is it's more of a planning meeting than it is a status meeting. And let's try to keep it that way, right?
Gotcha. So in this meeting, there has historically been the talk about three questions, and I want to talk about what the three questions were once upon a time. So once upon a time, the three questions were, what has the individual accomplished since the last meeting? That was number one. Number two is what is the individual going to do before the next meeting, which would be the next day? And the last one would be, what obstacles are in the way of the person? So what did you do yesterday? What are you doing today? And what obstacles are you facing? And it became nothing more than a status meeting, like Roy said. So since then, it has somewhat morphed into a different three. Now, the question is this a better view of these three? Now, let's take a look at these three. So what did I do yesterday that helped the development team towards the sprint goal? Second question, what will I do today that will help the development team move towards its sprint goal? And the last question, do I see any impediment that prevents me, any obstacles that prevent me or the development team from meeting the sprint goal? So what do you think about the contrast between the first and the second?
So I do like the second better, and the main reason is that those first three questions, you can see they very quickly turned to status,
Hmm.
and they were originally intended to help us plan. So
Yeah.
the concept was, what did I work on since last time? That's what I've accomplished. That's what I've gotten done. I am now out of that part of the product. So now maybe someone else can go into that part of the product. And the next question, what am I going to work on until next meeting is now I'm going into this area of the product. Everybody stay out of that and don't get in my way kind of concept, right? So again, more planning. And the most important question out of the three is obviously the last one, which is what's stopping me, right? Because that's a
Mhm.
great opportunity to talk about problems and to try to at least maybe not solve those problems in the meeting, but at least identify them and have a conversation about them.
Makes
Now,
sense.
the
Yeah.
intent, I'm sorry, Phil, good, please.
No, I said that makes sense. It
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so the intent with the change is to focus more on achieving your goals, your goal of achieving the sprint goal. And the sprint goal is the theme or the collection of things that you're trying to accomplish over the course of your sprint. That's the intent. They're a focusing element to help you focus as a team and get the work done. So it is a subtle change, but and there's many things with Agile and Scrum in particular. It's about the behaviors, about the psychology of how we do work. So
Mhm.
by a subtle change in the language, it actually can help a great deal move away from those statusing concepts.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Absolutely. So I'll just read a little bit towards the end in the Scrum Guide, the current Scrum Guide. It says the Scrum Master ensures that the development team has the meeting but the development team is responsible for conducting the daily Scrum. The Scrum Master teaches the development team to keep the daily Scrum within the 15-minute time box. So have you seen other teams that you've worked with going outside or going less time than the 50? It doesn't have to be 15 minutes, does it?
Oh, not at all. That's supposed to be your maximum time box. I've worked with teams, especially smaller ones, where it might only take 5-10 minutes, and that's great. Or if they don't really have a lot of impediments in their way, why take the entire 15 minutes if there's not an awful lot to talk about? But we also do want to watch the opposite problem. If they don't have a lot to talk about, don't cancel the meeting. That's not really the intent. There's a huge amount of value that we get in the daily Scrum, not just in the discussion about what we're working on and things like that, but there's also the socialization aspect of it. We get to get together as a team. And I would suggest that, especially today, when most organizations, most teams are remote, that quick little 15-minute get-together and socialization activity really goes a long way to help building the team and keeping people connected to each other and keeping those relationships fresh. If we don't do that, we tend to start going back into our silos. And I have a number of teams that, when I start coaching them, they say, well, can't we just do this over, XYZ tool, some kind of collaboration tool? Can't I just send my updates? It's not about the updates. Yeah. It's about the conversation. So no, don't do that. Get on the bridge for 15 minutes and just talk to each other. If you don't have a lot to say, tell a joke, just socialize and have some fun. Right? Yeah. That's what we want to try to encourage.
It's so important right now, and I'm glad you brought that up, Roy, because I know a lot of our viewers, they work in silos, they work alone, but that socialization piece, you do not want to leave it alone, because that's what makes us human and who we are. The product of whatever we're working on, remember, it's for humans, we humans. So that socialization is very important. Professor Emeritus Albert Morabian, he talks about communication being more than words, which is just 7%. So seeing who you're speaking with, even if it's on a webcam, is a lot more valuable. It gives you 55% of the communication of the message. And a lot of folks often forget that. And, during these, I don't want to call them mandatory meetings, but during these meetings, a lot of folks turn off their cameras because they feel indifferent. But they are cutting off a large piece of that human element, that 55%.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, there are some folks that turn off their cameras because they feel uncomfortable with the camera. And we do obviously want to respect those kinds of situations as well. But let's not use it as an excuse. I know some people are showing up in their fuzzy bunny slippers and pajamas. It's an early meeting typically, so they're probably not appropriately dressed for these things. But let's not use that as an excuse, and let's socialize a little bit.
Absolutely. Let's socialize a little bit. Interact with us, my friends. Hit like, hit subscribe. Remember to share this with your friends and go to agileprinciple.com. We got quite a robust assortment of videos that can help you if you're studying for your CAPM, your PMP. There have been students who said, oh, that course really helped me for my CSM. It prepared me to be able to go into the CSM training, ACP, whatever you're looking at in the world of Agile, go on down to agileprinciple.com. Take care and bye for now.